Can you guys share with our viewers what you do for a living?
What do you do for a living? I'm Wes Watson. Everybody knows who I am.
Who?
What's your name?
Wes Watson.
What's for? Get inside the house.
We'll talk to you now, bro.
How can I get inside the house for my
Our
dog?
detective is gonna talk to you, alright?
What is this
You wanna
for?
leave her? You wanna leave yourself with him?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Clinton, can you drive this car to my pad? What's this about?
It's an open case, man.
Oh, that fight thing?
It's an open case.
That's crazy. That guy came and assaulted me.
All right.
You guys,
speak to a detective now, so he can explain.
are they gonna let me go?
Wes Watson went from surviving brutal prison riots and solitary confinement to being crowned America's so-called redemption icon. Through his GP Penitentiary Life channel, he spilled raw stories from behind bars and blew up into an internet superstar. He flashed rented Lamborghinis, posed in million-dollar penthouses that weren't even his, and flexed a monster physique to sell the image of an untouchable alpha warrior who turned pain into power. Fans ate it up, pouring thousands into his so-called life coaching packages, convinced he held the secret to their rebirth. But behind the smoke and mirrors, it was all a dirty hustle. The Lambos, leased, the penthouse, a glorified prop for clout selfies. And those coaching programs, nothing more than overpriced scams that drained his followers of millions. The shocking twist came when Wes and his crew orchestrated a savage gym attack, an ambush so wild it left him slapped with a prison sentence that could stretch 25 years. From hero to fraud, from redemption story to disaster, Wes Watson didn't just fall, he crashed headfirst back into the abyss. Wes Watson built more than muscle behind bars. He built a gritty wall of unshakable belief, his deadliest weapon laying the foundation for a so-called fresh start once he walked free. And when that day came, he hit the world running through his GP Penitentiary Life channel. His voice was raw, brutal, and dripping with survivor's energy. Exactly the kind of real vibe lost men were starving for. Guys drowning in failed careers, broken families, or battling addictions saw Wes as living proof that rock bottom wasn't the end, that even an ex-con could rise back like a warrior. That raw connection flipped him from a nobody to a cult-like figure, drawing in a hungry army of followers who hung on every word. But Wes didn't just inspire, he rebranded himself as a kingpin of masculinity. Suddenly, he wasn't just a survivor, he was a self-proclaimed guide, pushing a hazy gospel of alpha dominance, strength, power, and flashy wealth. His videos were pure theater, low camera angles showing off his ripped body, slow pans of Lamborghinis gleaming in the sun, and shots of a San Diego penthouse polished to perfection. He flaunted it all like a victory flag, proof that he had beaten life itself. For millions of struggling men, those images were more than content. They were a promise that if they followed Wes, they too could unlock their alpha destiny. That spark turned into obsession. His fans weren't just supporters anymore. They became hardcore disciples. They copied his punishing workouts, threw down cash for his overpriced coaching, and even recited his mantras like scripture. To them, Wes wasn't just motivational. He was a role model, a spiritual general, the leader they were desperate to follow. The trust swelled, and soon, inspiration morphed into blind dependency. On the surface, it looked like the perfect Hollywood redemption story, but beneath it, the cracks were already spreading. But that was only the prelude to an even bigger downfall. If Wes Watson's wall of belief was the foundation of his empire, then betrayal came crashing straight through those very bricks. His golden ticket, life coaching packages, pitched as the ultimate key to transformation, a chance to soak up his prison-forged discipline and alpha wisdom firsthand. But the price was brutal. $3,000 a month for the privileged, or a discounted $1,500 for the desperate clinging to hope. Still, men lined up, bleeding their wallets dry, convinced that learning from the guy who clawed his way out of hell would somehow pull them out of their own chaos. But the reality? A cold sucker punch.
I'm gonna share with you my story with Wes. So I had reached out to Wes when I had about 12,000 followers. I was brand new to the game, and I wanted to help monetize my passion for helping others. I wanted to take my game to the next level. So I hit him up. I say, Wes, what's all included? He gives me this big breakdown of all these promises, client acquisition funnels, all this other bullshit. So I send him the 3,000. What do I get in return? An 1,800 calorie meal plan.
Wes wasn't mentoring anybody. Despite the hype, he pawned off clients to underpaid staff who could barely keep up. Sessions got canceled out of nowhere, promises evaporated, and when desperate students dared to ask for answers or refunds, they got nothing but smoke. Some were strung along with vague excuses, while others were straight up ghosted, blocked like they'd never even existed. For those men, it wasn't just a scam, it was betrayal in its rawest form. They weren't just losing money, they were watching their trust get gutted in real time, stabbed in the heart by the very man they believed could save them. The real heartbreak for Wes Watson's loyal fans wasn't just blowing a few $1,000s, it was watching their faith shatter into dust. These were men who once believed that Wes, a guy who had walked through the darkest pits of prison, could actually lead them toward the light. To realize it was all smoke and mirrors felt like being shoved back into the abyss they thought they'd escaped. They didn't just lose money, they lost dignity, hope, and the drive that had kept them going. As despair curdled into fury, the internet went nuclear. Reddit threads and X timelines exploded with thousands of furious posts in just days. One viral comment screamed, "Wes Watson's a fraud," fleecing the most vulnerable just to flex rented cars. Soon, the hashtag Watson scam was spreading like wildfire, clocking tens of thousands of shares. Victims dropped receipts, screenshots of ignored emails, and payment invoices, laying out a paper trail so damning it turned Wes's silence into a wordless confession of guilt. The outrage snowballed fast. Complaints that started as scattered cries of betrayal morphed into a massive online revolt. Posts exposing his scams racked up tens of thousands of upvotes, uniting strangers into an army of angry voices. Under this tidal wave of pressure, everyone thought Wes would have to speak. An apology, a refund, even a half-baked excuse would have been something. But instead, he hit his followers with stone-cold silence. The kind of silence that screams guilt louder than words ever could. No apology video, no accountability, not even a single statement, just more clips of Wes flaunting Lambos and penthouses while barking out his aggressive alpha sermons.
Get famous off fighting because everyone fights influencers. I'm famous. I don't want to fight anybody. But when they antagonize you, someone kept telling you, Brit, fuck you. I want to fight.
To his betrayed fans, that silence was like a slap across the face. It felt as if Wes truly believed that if he ignored the chaos long enough, people would eventually forget. But the public didn't just move on, they exploded with rage. His silence was the spark that turned outrage into a full-blown inferno. Former students, sick of being duped, banded together and filed class action lawsuits. Payment processors like Stripe stepped in, freezing hundreds of thousands of dollars as chargebacks piled up. Within just 3 months, Wes's YouTube channel began to collapse, bleeding subscribers by the hundreds of thousands. Dislikes swarmed every upload like a digital plague, while fraud-exposing creators like CoffeeZilla dropped viral breakdowns with millions of views, dismantling his entire coaching empire piece by piece. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get worse, the internet dug deeper into the lavish lifestyle Wes flaunted. And what they uncovered only made people more furious. The expensive toys, the flashy homes, the so-called success he paraded around, it wasn't what it seemed at all. And the truth was about to hit like a bombshell. That $30 million San Diego penthouse, nothing but an $80,000 a month rental. The rare Bugatti Chiron he flaunted as the crown jewel of his alpha success, just a leased flex at $60,000 a month. His so-called empire wasn't built on strength or discipline. It was propped up by smoke, mirrors, and borrowed luxury. Every Lamborghini, every penthouse selfie, every Bugatti Rev was nothing more than a rented lifestyle designed to trick his followers into paying for overpriced courses. The hypocrisy lit a fire under his betrayal. Wes preached saving money, stacking wealth, and building an empire that lasts, yet behind the curtain, he was burning through debt-fueled cash like a reckless gambler. The alpha male image he had turned into a religion was suddenly a punchline, a global laughingstock, with coaching revenue collapsing by 70% and financial partners sprinting for the exits. The hate only grew louder. The once untouchable ultimate alpha was cracking wide open, and those cracks weren't just damage. They were the warning signs of an even uglier collapse waiting just ahead. And then came the breaking point. December 29th, 2024, Alva Dion Fitness in Miami, a gym Wes didn't just train in, but co-owned. It all began with one of his trademark taunts online, calling out enemies and daring them to meet him for a one-on-one showdown to prove dominance. But when Hakeem Ibrahim, a towering 7-foot man Wes had publicly mocked, actually showed up, What went down was no fair fight. Surveillance footage revealed the ugly truth. Wes and his crew ambushed Ibrahim the second he stepped through the doors. The gym turned into a war zone, multiple attackers piling on, dragging the fight out for minutes until Ibrahim finally collapsed under the assault. Far from the noble Mano, a Mano Wes promised, this was a straight-up organized beatdown, and Wes himself was leading the charge. The attack didn't just leave Ibrahim with a battered face, swollen eyes, and bruises that lasted for weeks. It ripped the mask off Wes Watson and exposed the same prison yard savagery he once used to settle drug debts. What shocked people even more was his use of the N-word during the assault, an ugly outburst that turned a street-level brawl into something far darker. It wasn't just violence anymore. It struck at deep historical wounds, instantly transforming a personal beef into a symbol of raw hate. Suddenly, Wes's alpha brand wasn't just fake, it was dangerous. The chilling message was clear. Anyone who dared to challenge his macho persona could face the brutal reality lurking behind the flexed muscles and flashy cars. Ibrahim, who had walked in expecting a fair fight, didn't just leave broken. He fought back legally. Backed by the community, he filed a lawsuit accusing Wes and his crew of group assault with weapons. Instead of showing remorse, Wes doubled down. At first, he stayed silent, but then he popped up on Instagram with a smug self-defense claim, insisting, "It was self-defense. I could have pulled a gun at any time." The excuse was laughably hollow, dripping with arrogance. He even bragged, "I'm famous. Everyone knows who I am," whining like his celebrity status should somehow shield him from accountability. Then came the body cam footage that torched his reputation further. On tape with cops, Wes justified the extra punches as neutralizing the threat, before flat out threatening, "Next time I'll kill him." He even mocked Ibrahim's appearance, sneering, "Don't wear girly long hair if you don't want to get beat." These chilling words didn't just show recklessness, they exposed the deep insecurity of a man whose entire empire was built on fake strength and fragile pride. Wes's initial silence wasn't reflection, it was nothing but a stalling game until the tidal wave of public pressure forced him to respond. And when he finally did, his so-called defense only made things worse.
His statement.
So I came up to him and he said he wanted to fight me. So I came to the gym and they jumped me. Like two of the guys they're hitting me with a weight, and then he hit with a weighted belt. And they were pulling my hair and
He flat out denied weapons were involved, even though clear surveillance showed belts and weights being swung in the melee. The contradiction didn't clear his name, it spotlighted his dishonesty for the whole world to see. This was the same guy who preached discipline, mindset, and control. Yet in body cam clips, he was caught spitting out threats and petty mockery. At one point, he tried to play it cool with a smug, "Oh, you're leaving? Have a nice day," only to crumble moments later into whining about his height, painting a pathetic picture of an influencer drowning in his own oversized ego. The racial slurs and reckless aggression sealed the image. Wes wasn't some unstoppable alpha. He was just a bully with a camera. Even his fighting didn't back up the hype. His so-called full-force kick to Ibrahim's face didn't even knock him out. It proved what many suspected: all muscle, no real power, and zero maturity to control the rage he once branded as an unbreakable mindset. The internet went nuclear. The footage racked up 13 million views on X in just 24 hours, unleashing a storm of comments branding him a racist thug and a fake alpha beating on someone possibly disabled. The hashtag Justice for Hakeem began trending worldwide, spreading across thousands of shares. Instead of damage control, Wes's response poured gasoline on the fire, turning a scandal into an inferno that threatened to burn down everything he had left. Instead of showing an ounce of remorse, Wes doubled down with pure arrogance. He posted smug, dancing Instagram stories from his rented apartment, brushing off the allegations without ever apologizing. On a podcast, he even mocked Ibrahim outright, twisting his initial silence into a full-blown public attack. The performance wasn't just tone-deaf. It was a complete betrayal of the mindset coach he claimed to be, exposing that Wes cared more about protecting his fragile alpha image than taking accountability for his actions. For Ibrahim, the insult cut even deeper. He had only wanted a fair fight, but after the ambush, the mockery, and the racial slurs, he was determined to push for prosecution, and the public was right there with him. Outrage skyrocketed as commentary channels pounced. John Bravo Films, dropped a viral expose titled "Wes Watson Full Footage is Crazy" that racked up millions of views in days. Boycott calls spread across platforms, and Wes didn't just look like a fraud anymore. He became the internet's lightning rod for everything wrong with fake alpha culture. It wasn't just reckless, it was delusion. The dangerous belief that he stood above the law itself. In the body cam footage, Wes's contradictions spilled out in real time. He claimed the kicks were necessary, that he had to keep striking until Ibrahim got back up to fight again. But the cold, unblinking eye of the camera told a different story. His words didn't match the evidence. Every frame exposed the shaky defense he clung to, every excuse undercut by his own actions. When Ibrahim later stated that he remembered reaching for his phone in the aftermath of the beating, Wes doubled down, twisting it into self-defense. To the community, it was absurd. Self-defense? Against a man who was already down? The reaction was scathing. Comments poured in by the thousands. He misses prison. Why trash his life over something this stupid? This isn't discipline, this is ego. The disgust was universal. The final crack in the alpha male facade he had spent years selling online. The legal fallout hit like a wrecking ball. On February 6, 2025, police arrested Wes Watson and booked him on 2 serious counts: felony battery, carrying up to 5 years, and aggravated battery with a maximum of 15. But prosecutors didn't stop there. Florida's state attorney's office, pointing to his prior criminal record, his repeated violent conduct, and his lack of remorse, announced they would pursue the harshest possible outcome, a 25-year sentence. The trial was set for July 2025, and with every passing month, the pressure built like a storm cloud. His YouTube empire collapsed under the weight of the scandal. Hate comments buried every new upload, dislikes drowned his channel, and longtime subscribers abandoned him in droves. Sponsors disappeared, partnerships crumbled, and even his inner circle began to fracture under the heat of the backlash. Yet Wes's downfall wasn't just legal or financial, it was personal. By late 2025, the Ibrahim civil lawsuit hung over him like a guillotine, threatening to strip away what little wealth he had left. Instead of reflection, instead of recalibration, Wes plunged headfirst into fresh chaos. His refusal to back down became a kind of addiction, a need to keep the mask of dominance in place, even as it cracked and peeled away. What had once been sold as a wall of unshakable belief now looked flimsy, paper-thin, nothing more than a desperate shield against the ruin closing in from all sides. And the more he fought to project power, the more he revealed weakness, setting the stage for a downfall that seemed less like an accident and more like destiny fulfilled. September 2025, live stream in Miami with Jack Doherty, a drama-fed influencer who lives for the spotlight, and Wes turned a chill night into pure chaos. A young guy walked up to their table, and instead of cooling it, Wes snapped, barking, "Shut up and walk away. We're filming." He even shouted at security to slap the kid, like flexing fear was content. Things went off the rails fast. One of Wes's crew, already linked to the weight-based gym ambush, jumped up and shoved the guy, and suddenly the squad was eating each other alive on camera. Wes flipped on his own friend mid-fight, snarling, "You want to do something? I'll end your life." The whole scene felt staged but terrifying. Loyalty turned to menace in real time. Then, the horrifying peak. In a packed restaurant, one crew member pulled a knife over a petty live stream spat and the whole place froze. Wes didn't jump in to stop it. He kept eating like nothing was wrong, leaning into the chaos rather than cooling it down. Jack Doherty, who's notorious for ducking real conflicts, bolted like a man who finally smelled danger and looked straight up panicked. The clip blew up across YouTube and X, racking millions of views in hours. Wes went from clout king to walking punchline and public menace overnight. Viewers piled on instantly. These are the guys selling life advice? What a joke. The hashtag Wes Watson meltdown rocketed to the top of trends, drowning Wes in ridicule. The fiasco didn't just expose his lack of control, it spotlighted his bizarre link-up with Jack Doherty, a duo of fake alpha clowns where violence, threats, and flexing became their only substance. The live stream brawl, though it didn't end in immediate arrests, set off a Miami police investigation, adding fresh weapons and threat allegations to Wes's already stuffed rap sheet. These weren't small scratches anymore. They were final nails in the coffin of his credibility. Once an ex-con who inspired millions, Wes has now devolved into the poster child of hypocrisy, a man whose empire is built on fraud, fueled by rage, and collapsing under his own ego. From prison tattoos to penthouse delusions, the world's watching his downfall in real time. The question now, can Wes Watson claw his way out of this abyss? Or is this just the next brutal chapter in his cycle of self-destruction? If you found this insane breakdown shocking, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the wildest influencer downfalls.